So Pearson changed course once again. Pearson had never been to Gimli, but he accepted Quintal's advice and headed for the Gimli runway. He steered by the texture of the clouds underneath him. He would ask Winnipeg Central for corrections in his heading, turn by about the amount requested, then ask the air traffic controllers whether he had made the correct turn. Near the end of the flight, he thought he spotted the Gimli runway, but Quintal corrected him. As Pearson got closer to the runway, he knew that the airplane was coming in too high and too fast. Normally, he would try to slow to 130 knots when the wheels touched down, but that wasn't possible now, and he was likely to crash. Luckily, Pearson was also a skilled glider pilot. So was Chesley Sullenberger, the pilot who landed a U.S. Airways jetliner in the Hudson River in January of 2009. We will examine the Hudson River landing in Chapter 6. Pearson drew on some techniques that aren't taught to commercial pilots. In desperation, he tried a maneuver called a slide slip, skidding the airplane forward in the way ice skaters twist their skates to skid to a stop. He pushed the yoke to the left as if he was going to turn, but pressed hard on the right rudder pedal to counter the turn. That kept the airplane on course toward the runway. Pearson used the ailerons and the rudder to create more drag. Pilots used this maneuver with gliders and light aircraft to produce a rapid drop in altitude and airspeed, but it had never been tried with a commercial jet. The slide slip maneuver was Pearson's only hope, and it worked. When the plane was only 40 feet off the ground, Pearson eased up on the controls, straightened out the airplane, and brought it in at 175 knots, almost precisely on the normal runway landing point. All the passengers and the crew members were safe, although a few had been injured in the scramble to exit the plane after it rolled to a stop. The plane was repaired at Gimli and was flown out 2 days later. It returned to the Air Canada fleet and stayed in service another 25 years until 2008. It was affectionately called the Gimli Glider. The story had a reasonably happy ending, but a mysterious beginning. How had the plane run out of fuel? 4 breakdowns, 4 strokes of bad luck, contributed to the crisis. Ironically, safety features built into the instruments had caused the first breakdown. The Boeing 767, like all sophisticated airplanes, monitors fuel flow very carefully. It has 2 parallel systems measuring fuel, just to be safe. If either Channel 1 or Channel 2 fails, the other serves as a backup. However, when you have independent systems, you also have to reconcile any differences between them. Therefore, the 767 has a separate computer system to figure out which of the 2 systems is more trustworthy. Investigators later found that a small drop of solder in Pearson's airplane had created a partial connection in Channel 2. The partial connection allowed just a small amount of current to flow. Not enough for Channel 2 to operate correctly, but just enough to keep the default mode from kicking in and shifting to Channel 1. The partial connection confused the computer, which gave up. This problem had been detected when the airplane had landed in Edmonton the night before. The Edmonton mechanic, Konrad Yaremko, wasn't able to diagnose what caused the fault, nor did he have a spare fuel quantity processor, but he had figured out a workaround. If he turned Channel 2 off, that circumvented the problem. Channel 1 worked fine as long as the computer let it. The airplane could fly acceptably using just one fuel quantity processor channel. Yaremko, therefore, pulled the circuit breaker to Channel 2 and put tape over it, marking it as inoperative. The next morning, July 23rd, a crew flew the plane from Edmonton to Montreal without any trouble. The second breakdown was a Montreal mechanic's misguided attempt to fix the problem. The Montreal mechanic, Jean Ouellette, took note of the problem and, out of curiosity, decided to investigate further. Ouellette had just completed a 2-month training course for the 767, but had never worked on one before. He tinkered a bit with the faulty fuel quantity indicator system without success. He re-enabled Channel 2. As before,